Well, good morning. Thank you very much for being out here. I want to have a conversation with you about some activity that's come about. Joined today by Neil Olson, who's the general counsel. All right, by Neil Olson, who's the general counsel for the Office of Illinois State Treasurer, and Anthony D'Angelo, who is a former supervisor in charge of federal crimes for the Federal Bureau of Investigations. After consulting with Mr. D'Angelo, I've launched an independent investigation into allegations of misconduct against me by an employee of the Illinois Treasurer's Office. The office has also retained Ron Braver and Associates, and Ron is a 25-year law enforcement experience also in the federal government. We will be handing out biographies of the gentleman here after the press conference. Let me just make this perfectly clear. There's absolutely no truth to the allegations, no factual support or merit. We internally have reviewed everything. Now, we are going ahead with an independent, outside review of this. Christine Svensson is an attorney that's making demands on behalf of the accuser and is directly linked to my opponent, Bruce Rauner. This connection only came to light when my opponent, Mr. Rauner, was forced by the media to disclose the itemized payments within his campaign operations. If you all recall, he had filed lump sums of employees and consultants. His reports were amended just a few days ago to itemize who those payments went to. Svensson's law firm was paid and appears in his most recent amended forms. During the call between Svensson, representing the plaintiff, and two attorneys, our in-house general counsel and the outside counsel for the Office of Attorney General, Svensson demanded a payment of $300,000 for the employee to, quote, walk away and keep it under wraps. Mr. Olson, would you care to comment?
I can confirm those statements were made to me and another attorney representing the Office of the State Treasurer, and were made by Attorney Svensson.
Okay, it's also been reported in the State Journal Register that Bruce Rauner has been quoted as saying he has a book on all his opponents and that he intends to destroy every one of those. No one, including Bruce Rauner, is going to destroy me. When I got into this race, I vowed to stay above the fray and not go negative. I continue to my commitment, but I will not stand false accusations that are destined to try to destroy me or my campaign. I would be more than glad to take any questions you have.
What are the allegations?
Well,
We cannot comment on the nature of the allegations at this point. There's going to be the independent outside investigation, which will be thorough and will bring it to light at some point when it's appropriate. The issue is that this isn't a personnel matter. We treat it like any other personnel matter at the Office of the State Treasurer involving an employee. We would not normally disclose those things. We are launching the independent investigation given that the State Treasurer is involved. Otherwise, we're treating it in the normal course, and it will be thoroughly and fairly investigated.
and here, let me, if I may, I mean, being accused makes it really difficult to respond, as you can appreciate, because we do have legal restrictions in this. So,
Who is launching the investigation after what? It's not clear to me. How?
It is a personnel matter. We have an obligation like we do with every employee personnel matter, to investigate appropriately. We are doing that in this case, just as we would in any other case.
Don't you have an obligation, if you're spending state money to investigate something, don't you have an obligation to tell us what you're investigating? To tell taxpayers what you're investigating?
At the appropriate time, we would make anything we can public by law, but no, at this point, any normal personnel matter would be confidential, and that's the way we're treating this as well.
But Mayor, can you at least give us the nature of the accusation?
No, we cannot.
Can you answer yes or no? Is this a sexual harassment?
I cannot answer those questions, no. We cannot answer those questions at this point, no.
Is this with a current employee or a former?
It's a current employee.
And it's
When was it alleged? When was the complaint filed?
All of the allegations came to light in the past week, a week ago Thursday.
You're treating this like any other personnel matter, and you've already reviewed the documents and it's not true, then why are you having this independent investigation?
Because, again, I report to the treasurer. Ordinarily, our equal employment opportunity officer reports to the treasurer. We want to make sure there's an independent analysis, and we are committed to doing that, so we can, if there are any facts that are out there, that we will discover those.
You used the name of an attorney. Quite frankly, I mean, I heard it, but I can't spell it because you weren't very specific about it.
Here, I'll do it.
Go ahead.
Well, we're gonna be handing out a press statement afterwards, so we'll do that, so you have the correct spelling. But I think the point here is that this, in my opinion, has basically been set up. My opinion, you look at the facts. This is a copy of Bruce Rauner's financial disclosure reports that only came out when he was forced to amend them to itemize information that he had lump summed. Right on it, it specifically says the Svensson Law Firm received the money back 6 months ago. As was noted by counsel, this just came to light a week ago. We are just a few short weeks away from starting absentee balloting for the primary for the office of governor. I find this to be very, very offensive. Whenever allegations are made, it is very hard to be able to publicly defend them when you can't do it because of the legal restrictions. And people know that. You put these dots together, there's no question in my mind what's going on here. Someone tried to get $300,000 and is being represented by an attorney that was on Bruce Rauner's payroll.
You call it a shakedown?
I'm going to be very careful, Jay, just because of legal proceedings, but I'm going to tell you what, this thing smells.
So, just to be clear here, you're launching an internal investigation over allegations we don't know about an employee we don't know about.
Well, they are allegations against the treasurer, when we're not disclosing any additional information about that other than we are conducting the outside investigation.
Here, that would be the same thing regardless if it was an allegation against anyone else in the office. This is standard operating procedures. When there's allegations made because of legal and internal protocols, you don't say this is the person making the allegation. As well, you don't say these are the allegations. That is just not what you do in a process. And because this is a highly visible, highly public, right in the midst of the heated election, where there are two people that are obviously the front runners in this race for governor, that's in part my belief why the timing of this came about. Now, I'd love to be able to, let me tell you what, I'd love to be able to sit here right now and look every one of those cameras in the eye and each one of you reporters, and you put it on tape, exactly what was alleged against me, exactly the time frame that it was alleged against me, and exactly the lack of information about it, but I can't. And this is very, very well thought out. You're right. I can't tell you the one that made the accusation, and I can't tell you what the accusations are, because I am barred from doing so. But what I can tell you is exactly what was on the conversations, verified by two attorneys, that there is a specific request for $300,000, and I will quote, "We will walk away and keep it under wraps." Yes, that smells. And then when you look at the attorney that's representing, and that's published, Christine Svensson, she's been paid by Bruce Rauner. I got to tell you what, Illinois politics is hardball. It's tough in this state. This is not a sport for the faint of heart. And I've been through it, I know. And the one thing I know, we've seen another person enter the race with millions and millions and millions of dollars who is specifically noted to say he's going to destroy his opponents. Nice try. Rutherford is staying in this race. I'm going to turn this back on him, and I'm going to be the Republican nominee, and by the time January 2015 comes, I'm taking the oath of office as governor of the state of Illinois. Now, if there's no other repeat questions, I'll stand here and take all you want.
Is this a long-term employee?
No, we're not going to comment any further on who the employee is.
You can't even say, was this person working in the treasurer's office before Treasurer Rutherford?
We're not going to comment.
So what happens when we all do our due diligence on this and go and cross the T's and dot the I's and find out who the person is and find out what the allegation is, and then we come back to you and say, okay, if so-and-so here's the charge, what's your reaction?
I will, candidly, I'm going to go to legal counsel to make sure that I say what I can say. But I think you might want to guess. There's anything I can say, I want to do it. And I want to do it loud, repeatedly, and anytime you ask. I'm unfortunately, and see, they know this. That's what makes this thing stink. I'd love to be able to tell you exactly who it is. I'd love to be able to tell you exactly what the charges were. I'd love to be able to tell you all the time frame, too. And I'd like to be able to substantiate and show you, here's why this is nothing more than timed to be only a few weeks away from a primary onto which there are two significant leaders in this. One has some money to be able to go on the air and be competitive, and having the other one say specifically, I'm going to destroy my opponents. Jay, I want to be able to look you in the eye and tell you everything. Is there any other question that's not repeating itself? Because I will stay here.
Mr.
Marion?
What's your role and what's your role in all this?
I was retained as an outside consultant. I came in, listened to the facts, and then made recommendations on what to do going forward.
Are you paid by the campaign or are you paid by the treasurer's office?
I don't want to comment on payment. I've been retained by the,
I will do that. He's being retained by the treasurer's office through our outside counsel.
Who is the outside counsel?
Our outside counsel is Laura Lee Burkett of Brown, Hay, and Stevens in Springfield, Illinois.
Any other? We don't know, I think.
We don't know. We don't know.
When was this conversation?
The conversation was a week ago today,
And that's
January 24th.
And that's when you're saying that's the first time that this surfaced?
The previous day, the general nature of the allegation surfaced, but the conversation that the treasurer described happened a week ago on the 24th.
And that's entirely between you and Ms. Svensson? You and Ms. Svensson had that conversation, not Mr. Rutherford?
No. It was a telephone conversation with me, outside counsel for the treasurer's office, and Attorney Svensson.
Why did you have outside counsel involved in this already?
We have retained outside counsel on employment matters routinely, and this was an employment matter we sought to have her sit in on.
Have you ever had any previous allegations from an employee during the time that you've been either a state senator or a treasurer?
Asking me?
Yes.
No.
Never before. This is the first time ever that you had a complaint.
First time ever. I've been in elected office for a state rep, state senator, state treasurer. This is the very first time in the history of my political career this has ever happened. And I'm going to emphasize again, I can't wait to be able to have an eyeball discussion with you about the accuser, about the charges, and the absolute fallacy of it. I can't right now. But I do know there is something very, very fishy about the timing and with regards who's behind it.
So Mr. D'Angelo
Let's,
did this investigation for you just in the past week?
No, I want to be, let's be careful. No, let's be careful. Mr. D'Angelo was brought on to help counsel us in regards to finding independent, one to review, and to make sure to do a review of all of this. If I could, this one gentleman back here.
Can you specify what evidence you
you look at the financial disclosure reports that were just amended by Bruce Rauner's campaign committee within the last week.
And this, you're launching this outside investigation because you're a candidate for governor?
No.
So have you done this in other personnel matters? You launched this sort of outside investigation?
I can respond to, but go ahead, Neil.
Well, it's unusual because, as I described, this involves the state treasurer, not a regular employee of the office. We would conduct an investigation, no matter who the employee was. We would conduct an investigation as we are obligated to do. It's our duty as an employer to do that. Again, given that it's the head of the office, a constitutional officer, we felt an independent investigator would provide the objectivity and independence that was necessary to fully investigate the matter.
Great.
Did they give you anything in writing?
I'm sorry, Mark.
Have they given you anything in writing?
I'm not going to comment on what's been given to us thus far.
Well, are they threatening a lawsuit, an EEOC complaint? What's, you know?
No complaint has been filed, and that we've not been served with any complaint thus far.
Are there any questions that are not repeating? And I would be more than... Well, Charles, I ask them then. I just don't want people to repeat them. I'm going to stand here. So what else do you want to...
If no complaint was filed, then how did you become aware of all of this?
It came to us through an attorney representing an employee, and that's how we became aware of it.
Through this attorney?
Yes,
And she contacted who?
me, as general counsel for the state treasurer's
And
office.
that was the day before you had the call with her?
Correct.
And the outside counsel?
Correct.
So they said they wouldn't file the complaint if you paid them $300,000.
Said they would walk away and keep everything under wraps, yes.
Now, so I asked Dan again.
Mhm.
Do we come back here this afternoon?
I'll tell you what.
Further details?
You know what? Here, you're welcome to. And we'll give you phone numbers that are on the press releases. I am maintaining my schedule. You're welcome to join me any place that I'm going to be going that's open to the public. We've got some closed events. You're welcome to join me. If you have any questions you want to ask me, call. I've got meetings this afternoon. I would be glad to respond to you by phone. I'll be glad to meet with you individually. Be glad to have my staff. And we've got both political staff here and government staff because we want to make sure we keep the lines separate. And yes, I'll be more than glad if you find some information, and I assume you will find information, I will respond, but you need to be warned up front. I will only respond unto which the legal limitations that I can respond.
Does the accuser allowing his or her name to be out there absolve you of the confidentiality clause?
No.
Okay.
This employee no longer works for the office or still works for the office?
It's a present employee.
I'm going to be real open, and I'm going to be real available to you. So you want to talk to me, I'm there. Call me, call my staff. I want this thing completely sunshine. The only thing is the is the restriction I will have with regards to the legal situation. All right, are there any other questions before I excuse myself? Mark, you look...
I don't want to ask this, but, you know, Dan, from the start of this campaign, your opponents have been trying to get your sexual orientation into this race, or what, you know, is that what's happening? Are these allegations by a male employee against you? Is that what's happening?
Again, we're not going to comment on the nature of the allegations at this point.
Okay, are there any other questions? Mark? Here, and Charles, I understand your frustration. I understand, and that's a part of the nature. Unfortunately, there are legal restrictions, and you know that. I'm sorry.
Nothing has been filed against you. There's no lawsuit.
Okay, then I will.
You tell us general things about the case.
All right,
There's no business.
let's do this. If you,
That's the problem here, is that you're trying to get out in front of allegations that we didn't know about. The timing here is yours. Really.
right.
There's nothing here going on that we would have known about if you weren't standing up. Right. So.
Why don't you,
Don't you
do
think-
you want to respond to that in regards to
Under
timing, or
those
what do you want?
circumstances, you should be telling us
And if you
what we're dealing
and if
with.
you don't talk names or specifics of the way it happened, I don't see why you can't talk about it.
Again, it's the matter of an ongoing investigation. We do not, the employee has rights.
Ongoing investigation that you started
started? There is no
Well, because,
formal?
well, there's anytime any complaint, whether it's formal and EEOC complaint or not, we have a duty as an employer to fully investigate as a matter of maintaining the workplace. So we are doing that. That is where we're at this point. It came to our attention.
I mean, that's.
Well, again.
Here, I'll respond to that. Yes, we are having a press conference because you look at this and you put the dots together. I'm going to go ahead and excuse myself. If you have any other questions, do not hesitate to be in touch. We're going to be very open on this. And Judy, would you go ahead and hand out the info then? Thank you very much for being here.